All right. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining the first IYBA We4A Masterclass of 2026. Today we have Mr. Osato Noah who will be taking us on business plan templates and how to prepare a business plan. All right, so I'll be passing the mic to Mr. Osato Noah. We also have on the call Mr. Roland Foucault, although his internet is not very steady. So whenever he's not here, we would go ahead, and when he comes, he would give a summary of what has been said. All right. Thank you, Mr. Osato. I'm passing the mic to you now.
Yeah, thank you so very much, Aisha, and good afternoon, everyone, irrespective of where you are, or even good morning, depending on where you're joining us from. Quickly, like Aisha said, Osatunwa is my name. I've supported this program for this is the 11th year that or thereabout that I've supported the Tony Milu Foundation program. I have over 20 years experience in management consulting, and I currently work with Future Africa, and I manage consulting business in West Africa and then across the rest of Africa. So quickly, I'll be walking you through the business plan template and then giving you the details around the plan. Typically, I mean, this is a presentation that your the word version of the template looks somewhat like this. You've got the cover page where you're supposed to put basic bio data and things that relate to your business that are typical, easy to find information about your business from your name even to your business name and even the brand logo, the business logo, and even if you have a brand slogan. Thereafter, you then go into the critical part, which is where I will be harping on and really discussing details. Over to you, Foucault, before I move to the content, so you can quickly speak.
Unfortunately, I think Foucault has dropped off, so
Okay,
please go
okay,
ahead.
okay, great. So the content I'll be walking you through today will be the executive summary, which is very important, which gives a summary of everything about your business at a glance. Somebody looking at your business, 1 or 2 pages should be able to know everything about your business here. It covers the things around your the introduction of your business, the business name, the business location, the ownership structure, the description of the business or the purpose of the business, and a brief overview of what you do, as well as the problem you're trying to solve within the ecosystem, as well as what makes your business unique. I'll get there. Then you have the introduction, which gives a more deeper view into your business and description of what the business is. Then the company description itself, the product and services, or which is a solution you're trying to provide to the industry or across an entire value chain or to a specific target customer segment. Then the market research, which is the research or the data that is backing up your value proposition as well as your target market segment, and that is backing up the entire business plan, which is the foundation on which you build your business plan on. Then the organization and management, how you intend to run the business plan seamlessly or operationalize it so that you're able to achieve your strategic business objective. Then how do you intend to market and sell and strategically position your sales pitch so that customers who don't know about you get to know about you and then they get to buy? How do you intend to win over customers who are probably up until now who probably patronize other people, other competitors within your business segment? Then your operational plan, how the not just the structure now, your distribution model, your team and everything that you're putting in place, your sourcing plan, processing plan, distribution plan, storage if you're a manufacturer, and then distribution. Everything combines to make out your operational plan. And then how much do you really need to get your business operational if you're starting, or to grow your business, depending on where you are in the growth continuum or what stage your business is. Then your financial projection. What is the value, the dollar value, the naira value, the shilling value of your that you're looking for in terms of money? And then what are the financial projections? How will you make money? What are the key drivers of your revenue, and what are the key cost drivers? And how will you manage all this interplay to ensure that you're still profitable at the end of the day? And what's your strategic roadmap to implementing the business plan that you've articulated or defined? And then your appendix talks about every other thing that you put in place so that you have that you need to support your business plan. So let's go into the details now. Is Foucault there, or I continue? Okay,
It's still
I'll
not
continue.
backing. Go ahead. Yes,
Okay,
please.
great. So your executive summary guide. So your business introduction talks about your business name, your business location, your ownership structure, your business name, whatever the name is, where are you located, maybe Lagos, Accra, maybe Johannesburg, or Conakry, or or wherever in Africa you're located. Then the ownership structure. Is it sole proprietary? Is it partnership? You have to state that clearly. Then the purpose of your business, which is what's the overview of this business? What do you do? Are you manufacturing or providing a service? Are you into trading? And what problem really are you trying to solve? Is it that there is a scarcity problem, an unmet market that you're trying to fill? Is it that you're trying to just provide linkages between people who need a particular product and those who don't have it, who need it, or between the manufacturers and the customers by providing maybe a distribution network connecting both of them? Are you providing a platform that bring together the buyers and sellers of this particular product? And then what makes you unique? Is it that pricing? Is it pricing that makes you unique? What is that specific thing that makes your business distinguished and very different from other people? For example, if you look at global brands like Apple, their uniqueness is around the experience and design, or innovation and product design that they bring to bear. While Microsoft talks about productivity, and they are now empowering, leveraging AI to drive cloud integration and everything. Or it's Amazon, which is convenience and choice. You've got a platform that gives you convenience, speed, and choice, and then you're able to, it's customer centric, and then you're able to make whatever choice irrespective of where you are. Or accessibility like Google, or even NVIDIA that provides AI infrastructure. What is the unique proposition that you are providing that will make everyone see you different and carry your competitive advantage in the marketplace? Then what's your business goals? Your short-term goals, you want to expand, you want to grow profit, you want to gain market share. What are you really looking at, and what are your long-term goals? Is it that in the short term, you want to grow market share, and then in the long term, you want to become one of the most profitable business, or you want to be a brand name in Africa or globally? These are strategic business goals that must be articulated. Then your investment proposition. What is the intended impact and the returns? What do you need this $5,000 for? How will you spend it? How many jobs will you create just by getting this funding or injecting this capital, non-refundable capital into your business? And then what are your key financials? Key financials, your projected revenues, how your sales and revenue, and how do you intend to, irrespective of seasonality or the competitive landscape, you're able to zero in on your target customer base and make as much money as possible? And what are the environmental factors that could hinder you from achieving your revenue? And what are those key drivers that you're going to manage interplay of both your profitability and cost, or revenue and cost, to be able to make profit? And what is your budget on year-on-year basis? And what is your funding need based on all of that? I mean, even in this funding need, how much are you willing to put on the table, and how will you generate whatever is left after the $5,000 funding? Then let's go into the business plan proper. So we talk about your research and development stage. So depending on where you are in your business, which is your business overview, it tells of what stage your business is. Either you are at the idea stage, in which case you are trying to validate your idea. You have an idea, want to provide a platform that bring buyers and sellers of automobile, or just like all of these online platform that brings automobile sellers, second-hand automobile sellers together, or is it a platform that brings spare parts sellers, or a platform that brings ad growers and connect ad growers like Babagona that connect farmers to ad growers, and they're able to mop up and so reduce spoilage and even post harvest losses to farmers. What stage are you? Are you testing your ideas, or you are the research and development stage of your business where you've done your market survey, you've seen the market needs, and then you want to now develop that product based on all the features and all the things you've garnered from your market research. Or you are the market entry stage. You've already done your market research, you've tested it. You're going to the market to do your pilot before you roll out, or you've even moved beyond the market entry stage. You've run this business for 3, 4, 5 years, and now you see opportunity for growth, probably based on the recent prospective economic projections, and you see opportunity for expansion. And so you want to grow your business. Depending on the stage you are, that is how you describe or provide your business overview, and you describe it clearly so that everybody can understand. If focus is not back, I move on. Then your company description. What is the company? The company history. If it's a new company, if it's a company that has been operating for some time, or it's just a startup. So you provide an overview, describe the company, describe the business structure. Is this sole proprietorship? Is it partnership or a corporation? Where are you located? What facilities do you have? Are you growing? Are you planning to grow? What are the growth and expansion plan? And how you plan to expand your business? You are in one location, you've seen an opportunity in another location, or rather, your growth model is not even that you're going to set up a location. You're now going to begin to meet customers who are online, and that is virtual expansion of the business, which is up until now physical, that you want to leverage online to expand the business. That is what your growth and expansion plan should be able to talk about. Then the strategic direction. Where is this business going to? What are your strategic aspirations, your short or long-term aspiration, as it's whether you want to scale your business, or like I said earlier, you want to grow your capital base, you want to grow profitability. What do you really want to achieve in your short to medium term? And then what's your mission statement? You should state clearly what your vision statement is, which is where you're taking this business to, what this business is going to become. Is it going to become the household name for the household name in the manufacturing sector? What is that vision of this particular business? What's the mission statement? Which is, why are you existing? Are you existing to solve every problem? Are you existing to eliminate poverty? Are you existing to ensure that everyone is satisfied or have a taste of satisfaction? Just state clearly what your mission statement is, then your objectives. What do you intend to achieve? Like I said, is your objective to grow your profit? Is your objective to expand your business? Or is your objective to establish your product or increase your market share or increase profitability? That has to be clearly stated as well. Then the next stage is to really define your product and your services. Now, your objective itself has to be smart. It has to be specific. We all understand the SMART model. It must be specific. It must be measurable. It must be attainable. It must be realistic, as well as what time bound. What time do you want to achieve this strategic direction in the next 5 years, in the next 3 years, in the next 6 months, in the next 3 years in short to medium or long term. Can I continue? Foucault is back. I can just hold up for him to explain up until where I stop, and then I can continue from there. Okay. So then you then describe your product and service. What's the product line? What kind of product? So let's take, for example, your product is a manufacturing product. You are manufacturing a special type of drink that is healthy, and then you describe this product. What are the features of the product? What are the materials and why it is healthy? You are not using gluten, for example, for this particular product. You're sourcing your raw materials locally. And not only that, the materials, not only are they sourced fresh, they are the best, they are not processed. So that appeals to a particular market segment. And what's the benefit? The benefit is that this product is healthy and it will make you healthy, especially these days that everybody is seeking to be healthy. It could even be that with your product, we don't need to go to gym again. You want to lose stomach fat, you want to build up muscle. That could be the appeal of your product, or your product is such that you don't need to go to anywhere. It's the one-stop shop for everything that you want. You just log in, and all the products you want to buy for your cooking utensils, or for making your meals, you can select it on that platform, and it is delivered within 1 hour because you have location everywhere. There's a particular shop, grocery shop, that has entered Lagos right now. There were other grocery shops, they call them Boku. The Boku simply means something. You have it at very cheap rate. They're able to source, they have a strong distribution model, a strong supply chain that makes their product cheaper than every other product. And they're able to sell almost at factory or market price. And a lot of people are trooping in there. So clearly your product is defined, and they've done their market survey very well. And based on the market survey, they realize that look, a lot of Nigerians, I'm using that as an example, are price sensitive. And because Nigerians are price sensitive, they just entered the market and brought in something that accumulating 5 naira, 10 naira, 20 naira, 15 naira, having all together. When you buy several grocery products, you're able to buy it at cheaper rate. And haven't done that their research and development, haven't gotten that information from their research and development. They went ahead to set up distribution. They have shops in several places, and they are expanding like wildfire all over Lagos, and a lot of people are patronizing them. Then your production process, if you're manufacturing, for these people, for example, they have backward integration where they are able to source. They have a way of actually sourcing from, I think, farmers in some instances, and then they're able to buy in bulk. They have a store, a very strong warehouse where they keep those things, and then they are able to also manufacture certain things like bread and other products at cheaper rate, and then they're able to sell even at lower prices. And what's the value proposition? Their value proposition is simple. Is Boku. Boku simply means something in a Nigerian language, meaning abundance, and also abundance and at a cheap rate. And people are patronizing them because it appeals to a particular segment of the market who, during this period of economic hardship, they are able to go there. Just also think of here, for example, PMS. Dangote set up his refinery. He was able to tell Nigerians that, I mean, he sold this as a value proposition that, you know what, the best PMS product you can ever have, it's from us. So forget about the ones that come from importation. We give you the best. So today, even as a result of the US-Israeli war and Iran war, PMS in Dangote distribution channel, that's not Dangote retail now. We have, they use MROS. They are more expensive than others. Very lot of people are still going there. Why? Because they believe they sell the best of product. So once your value proposition is clear, it is sourcing, it appeals to a segment of the market, they will always patronize you. And that's what gives you assurance. Then your industry research that you want to do must give clear background of the type of industry. What trends is in that market? Who are the key players? So for instance, in Nigeria, the refinery market, the importers are really the competitors. There's no other refinery that competes with Dangote. Boko, for example, other chains like ShopRite are their competitors. The ShopRite is folding up and then they are taking over. The other distribution, other grocery shop, large chain supermarket that are available, but they've been able to provide a strong value proposition. So whether you're in the health care sector, agri sector, construction, or even manufacturing sector, you must be able to understand clearly your industry, the sub-industry. So there's the agri sector. So within the agri sector, where are you playing? And we have sub-sectors. Are you in the cash crop or are you in the food crops? Which of them? And even within these, there are also sub-sectors. And then you look at the value chain. Even within your value chain, are you a supply? Are you in the supply or the supply end? Are you in the processing end? Are you in the storage end? Are you in the distribution end? Where are you in the entire value chain? That is how much you get to in your industry background analysis. And then that leads you to what we call your market analysis. What's the size of the market? What's the growth projection of this market? And what's the potential? For instance, retail market will continue to grow in a place like Nigeria, where you have the largest retail market, because Nigerian population is projected to grow by 2030 to double by 2050. And because this, with a lot of youthful population, I'm just using this. Likewise, Africa is projected to almost double the current population and probably become I think the second or third now, the third now or thereabout, or become the second, even next to Asia, I think second now or thereabout, to even become larger than we have, or even double in the next 20 or 30 years. So based on that, how are you building that into your market projection? And the demographics, youthful population is going to increase significantly. So if your market today is focusing on probably the older generation, you're going to realize that a time will come. Definitely, people who are young today will get old, but a time will come where African population is beaming with a lot of young people now. They'll certainly get old at some point. But in the interim, it means your product may not be able to meet the kind of market you need. And you can then think through. So my demography, who are really based on age distribution, who are my buyers, and how can I segment my market to be able to meet segment, or what are their value proposition? What are their buyer values? How do they buy? Where do they buy? When do they buy? If you think by the time you do all of this analysis, you realize that that would define the kind of distribution model you need to have. For example, if you have a product that is for young people, you can't be selling it in shop. Most people may not go to shop. Although they could stop by, you could have a few people going there. But online, you meet them where they spend most of their time. You meet them on social media, and you're able to sell your product, and a lot of people will buy. Go on Instagram. That would define the kind of distribution model you have. That would define the kind of marketing strategy you need to deploy. That would define the kind of sales strategy you need to define. You need to develop. So your demographic is very important. Then your target market, like I said, segmenting your market. Who are my target market? How do they buy? Where do they buy? You describe that market. And then what is the available market? There's the target market, which is everybody. You could have a target market of all youths. Maybe your product is for youth. Then within that target market, there's already a serviceable market. There are already people providing that service to them. So that means that market, within the target market called TAM, targets, that's the total available market. There's what we then call the serviceable available market. Which part of this market is already being serviced? And then what part of this is not being serviced? And that gives you the obtainable market that you can target for your business. That begins to inform your financial model and what segment, whether it is 1% you're able to target of the total serviceable obtainable market, which is SOM. Then your competitive analysis. Who are your competitors? How do they sell? Where do they sell? Where are they? Are they close to you? How do they set up? And you can also, then what are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? Do they have backward integration that becomes their strength? There is a food court in Nigeria where you go to, and it's about 10 years ago, and they are still there. They've got a very strong backward integration that anytime you go to this particular restaurant, the way they serve you and the quantity of food you will get, they will embarrass you. You'll be wondering if you go elsewhere, you cannot get the same quantity of food. And a lot of people patronize them. Why? Because they believe that, look, they give you value for your money. So the question is, how can you beat? If you have somebody who has a strong backward integration, how can you beat this type of competitor who has probably been in the market and you want to steal market share from them? How will you steal market share from them? Already they have low price. You could come up with something more premium. Yours could then be, look, we provide premium services. It's not just for everybody. Yeah, cheap is good, but beyond this, these are the additional services we provide. We can deliver your product to you at home. Not only that, these are the other thing. When you order for one of these, we give you A, B. When you order for A, B, we give you C, D. And then if you have this bundle product, you're able to have better value or stronger value for your money. So you should weigh the strengths and the weaknesses of your competitors. So based on their strength, you then match your strength to their strength, and then see how you can amplify your strength to capitalize on whatever weaknesses is. Because no matter how strong our organization is, it definitely has its own weakness. Remember Nokia, when the mobile when we started all of these things, when we started buying handsets in Nigeria, like when the telecoms market in Nigeria was when the telecom revolution came in the early 20s. We had Nokia. We started with MTN. MTN gave us per seconds and per minute rather. And it was like there's nothing like per seconds. The Glow came, MTN and Econet. The Glow came, started per seconds. And a lot of people saw opportunities. So you must have a very clear and Glow saw that weakness in the value proposition of MTN and Econet. And they entered the market with per seconds. And everybody, a lot of people migrated to that service because they realized that they just call for a few seconds, they are charged for 1 minute. And then you also look at, okay, I think that's it. Before I move to the next thing, then your market research, you look at what is the strength, the weaknesses of of the market. What are the strengths? What strength do you have vis-a-vis your competitors? What's the weakness in the marketplace, your competitors' weakness, even the weakness in the market that you're looking at, and how can you leverage your strength to amplify your strength to begin to penetrate even to that market, to the weakness within the market. What opportunities are showing up in this market, and what are the threats, and how can you mitigate this threat? For instance, you discover that with the US, Israel, and Iran war right now, the cost of energy is high, and if your product is highly dependent on transportation or energy, you discover that there's likely going to be a spike even in your supply chain, in the cost of supply or sourcing of your raw materials. People that supply to you, cost of transportation is almost doubling right now across most countries. Cost of energy is doubling, and with that, the question is: were you proactive enough to have thought about that threat and build that into your pricing? Is this taking you by surprise? And if you've not built that into your pricing, how are you reacting proactively or even reactively to the market so that you're able to capitalize and on what is happening in the energy sector, and then ensure that it doesn't erode your profit? Because let me tell you something: if you did not price the potential issue, because all of this back and forth has been out there in the past 1 year or thereabout, and you didn't price this into your pricing or adjusted on time, before now, if you are adjusting now, you may not be able to mitigate the full risk of what the spike in energy, where the full impact of the spike in energy on your overall profitability. Because what this means is that you will increase your price, As you increase your price, it may reduce your revenue because not a lot of people will be able to buy this period. So your volume may drop. And if your volume drop, how high is your increase in price able to offset your revenue? And looking at your costs increasing, it means it's going to erode your profit directly. Then your organization and management. You realize that, look, it's not all about setting up an organization. People invest in organization because of who is running that entity. So how are you organized? How have you set up as an organization? What are the what are the track record of both the leadership of that organization as well as all that members of management? And do you have a very strong human resource plan? Do you know the people that need to run this business? And how are you capitalizing and optimizing the human resource? You probably don't need everybody at the start of your business, but you have the minimum startup team in the short term to actually start the business who may be managing one or two portfolios, and how are you combining these portfolios so that in the short term you can start and you won't have manpower issues, and then in the medium term you are gradually planning how you will bring in additional resources as your business will expand. And how strong is your structure to be able to manage and navigate potential challenges that might come in the industry, looking at the way you looked at the threats and that may come due to the environmental issues you're facing, which is your political, economy, your social, your technological, the legal environment and legislative environment, as well as the entire environment that is the interplay of all of these factors on the business. Then, in terms of other details you need to provide is what's your marketing plan? I mean, do you have a marketing plan? What's the strategy? How will you promote your product? How will you sell your product? What's your promotional plan? Social media promotion. How often will you promote this product? Where are you meeting your target market? Because it must also align. What's your persona, your target customer persona, and how is your marketing plan aligned or mapped to this your target market personnel? Your sales strategy, what's your sales process, the channels you are leveraging to sell, and what tactics are you going to leverage in these channels? Are you going to be focusing on low price strategy, which is the next thing? Your pricing strategy. How do you set your prices? Is your price cost plus, or you built in a lot of factors into your pricing so that at the end of the day, you are able to still break even? How do you intend to advertise and promote your product? And what kind of advertisement promotion are you going to leverage? Are you going to get social media influencers to promote your product? Are you going to use specific events to promote your product? How will you ensure that you reduce the cost of promotion or cost of marketing while amplifying your revenue? Because if your marketing cost is so high, then you realize that it will hit directly. It will give you a very high overhead cost, and that can reduce or significantly impact your overall revenue. Your customer service. How are you structuring your customer service? Is it going to be virtual to ensure low cost, or what approach and how do you plan to have a unique customer experience and support? Because customers are probably going to want to buy your product, especially if you're online. And if they're having challenges, do you have any queues online? Do you have any AI tools supporting customer experience online? Or do you have a dedicated line, or are you the dedicated person? Is there a dedicated hotline that customers' complaints can be directed to? And how are you going to address any customer issue so that you don't get negative online sentiment about your business? What's the customer acquisition cost? Because you realize that the customers at times that you're targeting are already they're already buying product from a particular competitor. And what would be the cost of acquiring these customers? And let me tell you the truth: every customer, there's a cost to acquiring a customer. That's what's called customer acquisition cost. And then how will you ensure that this customer, there's a switch Because if your customer acquisition cost is so high, that will affect your revenue. How will you ensure that you are able to optimize your unique value proposition so that you're able to get this customer? So, for instance, there was an organization that was going to set up an LPG plant in a particular environment. And the question, I told them to actually do a survey. And people did say that, you know what, we currently drive out to go and buy. If we get someone that can supply us this product, we will pay for that supply. Now, another person can say, without even doing that, can say, look, I'm going to supply this. I don't need people to pay. I will bear the cost. Now, so they are already having a customer acquisition cost. Whereas somebody else who has done his own market survey can then say, okay, I'll supply this amount to you. And then they can decide to buy from that person in as much as they can get that supply on regular basis. Because you must compare your customer acquisition cost to your expected customer lifetime value. Because if it's an opportunistic customer who is going to just buy a product once and rarely buy all the time, then you must be able to determine, do I want to? How do I acquire this customer? That's why you see some products, there's a promo at the beginning of product. So that's customer acquisition cost. They would have built that cost into the customer acquisition. We will do promotion. Our cost will be 50% of the market price, 75% of the market price. There's a 25% loss that we are making per customer. However, if we project that vis-a-vis the lifetime value of this customer, we will start breaking even at X time. Then what's your growth plan in the medium to short term? Because as I continue to acquire my customer, I will then begin to scale after a time. And then based on the funding I need, I can then offset my customer acquisition cost. And based on my customer lifetime value, I can become profitable in the medium stroke long run. Then my operational plan, we should touch on how do I want to operationalize all the key processes that I've defined so that my product and services can be delivered to my customers seamlessly, efficiently, and at optimum efficiency to ensure that customers are highly satisfied and then there's repeat business and I can hold this customer for a lifetime if possible. So that definitely needs to cover our business location and facility, the short term, medium, and long term, whether we're starting from a rented apartment to probably acquiring our own facility, or we're going to be online all through, and then what platform we want to be, and how are we going to have a very strong storage and warehousing and distribution channel that will support our online business. What technology would drive will be used to ensure that we are able to meet our customer needs across all these platforms. If it's an online business, or even if it's an online business, we are physical, but we are also enhancing our distribution channel and we are leveraging last mile distribution using maybe bikes, using tricycles, using specific distribution as models, and how would we work through those models? Or is an online service? We want to make sure that that platform is always up, it's not down, and we also know that it is premium service and our customer gets whatever they want. They are able to also probably return product when it doesn't meet their need. Then your supply chain management processes so that raw material sourcing is efficient and effective. There's no delay in your raw material sourcing if you're into production. What quality control process from raw material sourcing? Because if your raw material is defective, you have defective product. How are you going to ensure that you get the best quality raw material so that you also build in quality from your raw material sourcing to your production, to your sorting, production process, your storage process. When the products are leaving the storage facility or warehouse, they are also checked for quality assurance. Then in the distribution process, you build in quality into all of these, and up until when this product get to the customers, and even when there are defective products that also come back from customers, how are you able to ensure that it comes back and then you're able to probably defend that look up until when this product got to you? Based on our quality assurance check, we could confirm that this product was of this quality. So what happened to it? And then you're able to reduce the return rate of your product. Then what are your risk risk management plans. I mean, there are several risks. If your sourcing is dependent on importation, you realize that whenever there's FX, foreign exchange, when there's any issue with foreign exchange, you realize that definitely that will be a risk. So your business is exposed to market risk. How will you, or foreign exchange risk, how are you mitigating this? Are you going to be sourcing and making sure that a particular percentage of your revenue is used to source raw materials? Or are you able to find a model where you work with your suppliers and you're able to give them edge? You're able to edge your product so that at any time T you have your consistent supply. Or is it energy dependent? How will you ensure that you're able to source for raw materials when there's high supply of energy? Everything is working well. You've been hearing all of this, right? That America, there's going to be this fight, and you know that once price of energy goes up, have you been able to source enough raw materials? Have you been able to produce and have your warehouse, having products in your warehouse so that you can distribute at any particular point in time? And if you have them already stored, are you capitalizing on what's happening now, the spiking prices to ensure that you're able to also capitalize on this opportunity to make as much money as possible? So what's your scalability plan? How will your business expand in the short to medium term, both from your production and even both from a production perspective in terms of facilities, manufacturing capabilities, personnel, equipment, distribution channel, and even service delivery, so that you can meet your supply can what meet expanding demand. Then your funding request and your funding requirement focuses on how much do you really need beyond the 5,000, and for what? What specifically are you going to use this money for? What will be the expected outcomes when this fund is provided? In quantifiable, are you going to be able to, when this fund is provided to you, you'll be able to maybe buy a new equipment, new machine, build a platform, expand your distribution channel, or meet a regulatory requirement. What percentage of this of your funding are you going to provide? Maybe you need $10,000, $7,000. You're going to get $5,000. You have 1,000. You're going to source for the remaining $1,000 from other sources, either through debt or through owner's equity or through other means of investment. Then how will you use this fund in terms of and then the budget around how you will use it and what expected outcomes? So when you inject this fund into your business, you're going to increase revenue because you produce more product, and then you expand your storage capacity, and then you're able to sell because you've expanded your location, and then you're probably also able to create jobs because you're going to employ 2, 3, 4 additional people as your distribution channel expands. Then what is your exit plan or sustainability strategy? How will this business be sustained to ensure viability over time, post-funding? The initial injection of this amount will help you to be stable. Is there any exit plan? Oh, this business doesn't work. For instance, if you are at the testing stage of your business, we will test this product, and when we are done with the market testing, if there's no way around this will be our exit. We will, instead of this initial plan to have a big bang approach to meet all XYZ market, we are going to narrow down. So instead of serving the entire geography, maybe we will narrow ourselves down based on whatever the market tells us. That becomes our exit strategy from the very big plan that we already have. Or we are going to divest from this particular product to start to become a platform instead of what? Instead of actually producing, we become the platform that other producers can use. That way, we only earn margin for whatever goes through our platform. That could be an exit strategy where you divest. Divestment could be an exit strategy. And how will you sustain your business? Oh, after this initial injection, this will take us to it will help us add 1 or 2 more distribution channels or shops or whatever, or new outlets. And then what we intend to do is that After that, we'll go for another round of capital injection. When that comes, because our target is 10, then we'll be able to get the 10. And based on our financial model, it tells us that if we get 10 additional outlets, we'll not only break even, we'll start making additional, maybe we'll start having 200% of our current revenue, which will also probably could also lead to 150% of our current profit. So that becomes your sustainability plan in the medium stroke long term. Then you clearly state your funding sources. Then state how you will repay the debt. The debt you are going to are you going to start paying from year one, start paying from year two, and how would that debt be paid? You paid after after you were from all your profit, because based on your financial model, you're going to make money, and from the profit you make, then a percentage will be going to pay your debt on monthly basis, or yeah, or maybe depending on the plan that you have. And within 3 months, you believe that or within 1, 2, 3, or 4 years, or in the medium stroke, in the short to medium term, you pay off your debt, and then you start running your business sustainably. Then your financial projection, your revenue projection. How will you make money? You will sell, and this is how your sales projection will increase on a year-on-year basis. And your pricing, though you have a baseline price today, but looking at the economic projections and all of the other factors, the price is likely to increase in year 3, then in year 5, in year 7, and in year 10. And putting all of this together, you clearly have what your financial, your revenue forecast are, and then your expense projection. Today, this is our expense. These are the key drivers. Your key drivers of revenue are your pricing, your volume. I mean, clearly, your price and volume drives your revenue, and because your price and volume, so you're able to work around those and determine what your revenue projections could be. Then your expense projection, your definitely your cost of goods sold, then your direct cost, and then other costs that definitely they add up to all your expenses, your rent and every other thing. Those are your key drivers of expenses. And if all these key drivers, the key things driving your expenses, how are you going to keep them low in the short to medium term and even long run to ensure that you continue to make profit? Because when you then the interplay of the cost drivers and then the revenue drivers will give you what your profit or your loss may be, depending on which is higher, whether your expense or your revenue. And how is your cash flow? Because if your business does not have cash, cannot generate cash, then there's a problem. You must ensure that you're able to manage your receivables and your payables to ensure that you have a very good cash flow. And how is your assets and liability? How are you managing your assets, your liability, your inventory, your current and the fixed assets so that your balance sheet can be robust in the medium to short term? And how your break-even analysis, when will you break even based on all of the interplay of these factors? And what's your return on investment, as well as probably return on equity? And then your cost estimation. What are the required facilities that you need for your business? Then you break those costs down. Then the estimate of those costs in the first 3 years. Then your revenue projections, like I said, the key drivers of your revenue, your sales, as well as your volume, as well as your pricing, and how will you manage this too so that your revenue can continue to increase. Then your cost estimate, your projections on your revenue, which fits into your P&L, and then your cash flow, and then your balance sheet for the period. Then your implementation plan, what are the critical milestones or critical actions and activities the first 3 months, 6 months, whether you are registering your business, you're conducting your market research, you're validating your ideas, or you are expanding into a new outlet. Then what are the execution? Based on that, what are the timeline, and how will you monitor your monitoring plan, and what are the KPIs, and how will you track and report? And then all these are other things within your appendix. Thank you so very much. Thanks, Aisha. I'm done. Hello.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you
Yeah.
very much. Yes, thank you very much for the session. I would be looking through the YouTube to see if anybody has questions. So if you have questions, please put it in the YouTube link, please, in the YouTube comment section. So I'll go through it and then let you know of any questions.
Okay, great. Is there no question so far? Are there people online or people probably sending their questions later? Because I've seen that happens more often.
Yes, so we are having a lot of people say thank you for joining. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you so much, sir. Wonderful presentation. Let's give them like another minute or two. Okay, somebody said, please can you do a recap on the financial projections? That's number one. So let's take like three questions, and then if more come in, would I'll let you know as we come in. So number one is, can we take a quick recap on the financial projections? Number two is it possible to have a checklist for the business plan and the financial plan? Number three, how do you calculate your break even for multiple services with different prices? So let's take those three, and then as more come in, I'll let you know, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Aisha. In terms of the financial projections, I just come here and just recap from here. Your financial projections really, there are critical things you're looking at about six key things. One is your revenue. You have your costs, which then leads to your profit and loss, and then your cash flow statement, your balance sheet, and your break-even analysis. Now, the template is designed in such a way that you don't need to calculate all of these yourselves. So I think that is one key thing we need to know. You don't need to calculate all of these yourselves. What you need to do is that for your revenue projections, you need to understand your cost. What is the price of your products and what volumes based on your market analysis. For example, if you've been able to narrow down that you have about 1,000 serviceable obtainable market that you will be able to target in your first year, and this will grow 10% over the next 10 years. So what that means is year one, you have 1,000, year two, you have 1,100, 1,000, and then you just continue like that. So what that means is that with the way the template is structured, all you need to do is to put in your year one. Unfortunately, I don't have the financial model template here. I have it, but this is not for financial model, so I can't flip to that. You just put your price for, so in my year one, my baseline is that I will be able to reach 1,000 customers or clients, or maybe 10 clients or 1,000 customers. And my price is $10 for my product. So your price times your volume will then tell how much your revenue will be in year one. That is that straightforward for your revenue. Now, us, then you now come to your cost. So each of these, the template is so that you can only work on the assumption slide. Now, your assumption slides are based on all of the analysis you've done. And based on all of the analysis, you've arrived at 1,000 customers that you can service in year one. And then you grow 10% on year-on-year basis. And your price is $10. And then it increases after every 3 years of the second year and third years, and it decreases by maybe 25%. So $10 by year three, it increases by 25%. And so from $10, your 25% increase, that tells you, gives you an idea of what your new price will be. So that is how you interplay your price and your volume to be able to come up with your revenue. You just fill in these values in the assumption on the assumption sheet, and other sheets are populated for you. And then your expenses, you just feed in things around what will be my salary? How many staff do I need? Do I need to rent a place? Yes, I need to. How much is my current? If you're already running a business, my baseline this thing is $1,000. It's my rent per annum. So you put it there. I have direct costs for if I'm into a production business. My direct cost is this. Or if my direct cost is zero, I don't have any direct cost because I'm a service provider. I don't have direct cost, but there are other costs. My rent is a cost. The cost of providing technology is a cost. If I'm online, I'm providing online. My staff, how many staff? 2, 3 staff. This is their salary. That becomes my baseline cost. And after my projections are, I will increase salary after every 5 years. And then I'm going to add more staff. Just put all of those things in your assumption sheet. And then you also then state, oh, I'm going to buy equipment. This is how much I'll buy my equipment. This is where I'll buy my equipment from. And this is it. Then that means you have to pay your depreciation if you're not a service provider. And my depreciation will be this wise. You put in the formula for your depreciation, and then it automatically calculates your depreciation. Then you also then state clearly, for example, my receivables, my inventory management, I'm going to have inventory of 3 months. I'll have 3 months inventory. And so make sure that your inventory is not also so high. 3 months inventory, my receivables. Remember, for your cash flow, you must manage your receivables and your payables. Okay, fine. When I buy things from suppliers, I will pay them after every 60 or 90 days. Maybe I pay after 60 days. Then, but people that are owing me must pay me within 30 days, because if they don't pay me within 30 days, I won't have enough cash flow to be able to pay people that I'm owing. So what that means, when you manage your receivables and payables, so people that are my receivables, you must pay me after every 30 days. But I will not pay my suppliers until 60 days. What that means is I can turn over that cash that I get from my receivable, turn over twice my inventory quickly before I pay the suppliers. And how the way that will help me is I'm able to then manage my cash flow. There are certain things I don't need to buy. So instead of buying, I will hire them. All this you put in your assumptions, on your assumption sheet. I will not buy this. I'm going to hire my rent. If I buy a particular equipment, it's going to cost me maybe the $5,000. I don't need to buy. But if I go and use an existing one from a particular partner, or anybody that has same equipment, and I've calculated the cost, it will cost me, maybe I pay per time, maybe $10. And if I calculate this in 1 year, I realize that, look, I won't spend so much. So instead of buying, I would rather go and hire. So I pay it off, I don't hire. And because I don't hire, depreciation will not affect my cost. And so it will not also affect my cash flow. Your balance sheet is how, again, because I don't have any fixed asset, or I've reduced my fixed asset. So the depreciation that would have affected my fixed asset it's not that much, but I maintain and I ensure that my current asset, which is cash and other cash equivalent that I could easily turn to cash, they are high. And then my liability, I also reduce my liability, and then it helps my balance sheet to be looking robust. But your break even, you don't need to calculate your break even. It just come up itself. So even if you have several products, there are lines for you to have up to, is it up to 5 products? I think it takes up to 5 products or any number of products. You can take as up to 5 products. That's what the financial model has. So even when you have multiple products, everything will be combined in the financial model, because it's in the financial model because the template can take more than one product. Is a multi-product template. I know we were part of, we actually supported in the design and the way that product looks. So it takes all of the product and you can put all your products in, and then at the end of the day, it will be able to give you your break even. Did I miss out any question? Hello? Hi, Sha. Did I miss out any question?
Sorry, I didn't get that.
Now, I thought you asked 2 or 3 questions, and now I answered
Yes.
the first one.
Let
Story
me
of the
let me confirm
financial
what the last
projection,
question was. Yes.
multi-product break-even analysis.
Yes.
Hello?
Yes. And then the difference between business plan and financial plan.
Yeah, the difference between your financial plan and your business plan is this. Your business plan tells you how you will set up your business to be able to make money. And it even tells you it tells you the what business I want to do, how I will run this business, who will help me run this business, and where I will run this business, when I will operationalize this business, who will be with me, and how I will roll them in. While your financial plan is this business, how I will make money from this business, which guarantees my operational sustainability, my viability and operational sustainability. So while your business look at your operational sustainability, your financial model is looking at your viability and your sustainability as a business, which is your financial viability and your long-term sustainability as a business. One says, look, this business is good because this is what I would do. This is how I would do it. This is where I would do it. These are the people I would say to. While the other one says, look, all of these things I want to do, this is how we make money so that on the long run, I will be sustainable financially. And then I'll be able to make money for myself and for investors. So I'm a good bride. Invest in me because I'm looking good in terms of feasibility, which is from my business plan, and I'm looking good in terms of my financial viability and sustainability. I hope that answers your question.
Yes. Let me see if we can take one more question. What
All right.
is the least profit after tax has been removed with reference to the least project? I'm not sure if you got that
Yeah,
question.
I'm not sure I get that. I guess that question will probably wait on when you walk through the financial model.
I'm not sure what they're trying to ask, honestly. Okay, let me
Mhm.
see one last question. Okay, does this mean we should not touch the income statement, balance sheet, cash flow, summary, and other parts? We should only work on the assumption sheet. That would be our last question for today.
Yes,
Sure.
that's what it means. You can't even touch because they are locked. So your assumption, the only sheet that is open for you is your description of your business as well as the assumption sheet. Every other sheet is locked and you can't even touch it. So you are not expected to touch it, and that is why it is locked. So you don't change the formula. But just do what you need to do in your assumption, and the formula that have been created will throw everything up. And it will tell you whether you are making. So you can play around based on. So what really happens is when you define your entire business on in your plan, You then go and test the viability and financial viability and sustainability in the financial model. And when you look at it, if it's not making sense, you then go back and relook your assumption that came from your business plan. And you may have missed out one or two things. You can actually do both. Both can actually be iterative.
All right. Thank you very much for today's session. I believe we've gotten one or two out of it. Somebody said, wow, this is so educative. I'm really learning a lot. Thank you. I have learned a lot. Thank you from Uganda. Thank you from Cameroon. Very interesting. Thank you, everybody, as well. So thank you again, Mr. Osatonoa. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. And I believe we've all learned a thing or two from this masterclass session. Would you like to give a final remark, please?
Yeah, thank you so much, Aisha. I appreciate the opportunity to done this over and over again, not just in terms of working, supporting with the real internal things in the past years, but also having the opportunity to impart and share knowledge to entrepreneurs across Africa on how they can not only just prepare for the funding from the Tony Mulu Foundation, but to present and prepare their business for sustainability beyond the funding. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to more opportunity to share this body of knowledge with every entrepreneur across Africa in the coming years and even in the series that we'll have next week. Thank you.
All right. Thank you again. Thank you very much, everybody. Do have a wonderful day. Enjoy the rest of your day. See you at the next masterclass session. We'll be sharing the link and information to that very soon. Bye, everybody.
All right. Bye, everyone. Bye.